After such a long time, Hailie Deegan has finally received some good news. After her disastrous start of the season and not even making it in the playoffs, her main focus was switched to SRX. And apart from drawing attention from Tony Stewart, the owner of the series, Hailie has managed to make Kyle Larson the Cup Series champion. Talk about her as well. This time, it's not all that bad. And after a couple of late restarts in Roseburg, Ohio, Stewart did not hold back his praise for Deegan. To top that off, the attention of SRX got as close as Larson, who spoke about him supporting any of the drivers in the series. Is this the breakthrough moment Deegan has been waiting for such a long period of time? When it comes to Hailie Deegan, it is no surprise that she was labeled as one of the worst, if not the worst, performers and biggest disappointments in the Truck Series. After a handful of good starts, she failed to reach the top 10 for the majority of the races and was involved in a lot of crashes, with the Nashville one being the last drop in the glass full of water when Alan Lawless called her talentless and said that he has no idea what she is doing in the sport anymore. To add salt to the wound, we are talking about Thor Racing here, the team that has the most potential to win the championship in the Truck Series and has done so on a couple of occasions with Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton. Furthermore, Deegan has Majeski as her teammate, one of the fastest young drivers there. So although the pressure of being in one of the biggest teams in the Truck Series and being the only female driver on the grid was something enormous and obviously too much to handle, her folding down like this was not something that we could have expected. Obviously, not making the playoffs is definitely an utter disappointment, and at this point you cannot help but ask, what can she do to salvage her racing career? Fans started to call her the worst version of Danica Patrick, and there is so much you can do in order to come back from such a tough situation. But if you ask Deegan, you will receive one very motivating answer. I'm not going to give up, and no matter what it takes, I am taking home my pride. That is right. And even though she fails to contribute to her team in the Truck Series, she is surely one heck of a driver in the SRX. If there is one thing that Tony Stewart Series has the massive potential of doing, it is salvaging NASCAR careers. And at this time, it might be Deegan's career that could be solved. Yes, she was defeated in Ohio, and she is entering the next race on the back foot. But you have Tony Stewart talking praise about you, and there are millions of people watching the series just because of you, which in of itself is a major success no matter how you end the series. It was safe to say that the Thursday race in Ohio was one of the most anticipated races that the NASCAR world could have anticipated. And the fact it had 2 restarts speaks for itself. Deegan finished second in Eldora, just behind the founder of the series, Tony Stewart, who managed to get the best out of the duel after the 2 great restarts from his side. But at the age of 22, fighting with the 3-time Cup Series champion and losing in such a close manner is definitely something Deegan needed at these hard times in her career. Not only that, but she also managed to prove what material she is made from. And while many were doubting her truck driving abilities in the championship, we cannot say the same for the race cars in the dirt, displaying exceptional abilities and even surviving a crash that damaged her car. That crash itself was enough to kick her out of the competition. But not only did she maintain it like a proper champion, she also continued to pursue the win and failed in a small manner in doing so. In her post-race interview, Deegan was very humble and said that she was not even racing for first place in Eldora. As she went on to elaborate, I honestly think we were racing for second there. I think that was the best we were going to get. Tony Stewart is just too good here. He's too consistent. And overall, I thought we were fast, but I don't think we were as consistent as him. She was also asked as to whether or not she had a real challenge on her plate in fighting Stewart for the win, and she continued, honestly, I don't think there was. I'd say I'd have to have moved in some way, shape, or form, and which isn't easy here without playing someone in the fence. So I don't like racing like that. Especially someone like Tony, probably not someone I would ever race like that. And so I kind of knew we were racing for second tonight, which I'm okay with. Now, who would have thought that Deegan's humbleness would be so great after everything she's gone through in her Truck Series championship? Obviously, everything was her fault, and not being able to find performance cannot be blamed on the sole fact that she is, after all, a female driver, and everyone should be racing her differently. We do support female drivers in the sport more than anything, but at the end of the day, it is all about results, and if you're not able to deliver those, then the last thing that anyone in the NASCAR world should care about is your gender or your sex. Nonetheless, Deegan has proven that there was a lot of talent behind her that is yet to be exploited, And just because we've been seeing all of these bad results in ThorSport racing doesn't mean that we understand her full potential. This is something that Tony Stewart, the founder of SRX and a 3-time Cup Series champion, has spoken about, as he was full of praise for Deegan even before they started the race, saying that he needs to be extra careful about how he races, as he does not have any space to make mistakes against such a talented driver like Deegan. When talking about what led to his win and how he managed to keep himself calm and collected, Stewart went on to say, "Just had to try to not make mistakes. When Hailie Deegan gets to second in a race, you better be on your toes, because you make a mistake, she's going to pounce." When she and Ryan Newman were there, and Ken Schrader, I mean, that's 3 guys that when you look in the mirror, you're like, I cannot afford to make mistakes. Although the praise went for 2 other exceptionally talented drivers as well, guess who finished second in Eldora? It was Deegan. And this was not where Stewart's praise for her ended. Tony was asked to give his honest opinion on Deegan, as he went on to say, "That's one thing people don't realize, is that Hailie Deegan is one hell of a dirt driver. She is the second there. She is going to put the pressure on. So I had to try to get some clean laps on the restart, reel them again, and get going." Even Kyle Larson commented on the entire situation, and while he was not very supportive of the entire SRX series because it has a lot of potential to cause a potential split in the Cup Series, he couldn't have been more precise as to whether or not he is watching the series at all. Nonetheless, the performance from Deegan and Stewart did draw some attention to him, and the fact that he went on to comment goes to show that he might not be as inconsiderate as he would like to portray himself towards the media, as he went on to elaborate. "I mean, it's not on my radar at all right now. I'm so busy doing everything that I do outside of NASCAR that I really don't have time for it. But I'll never say never. Right now, I haven't really thought about it. They've asked me to run a handful. It never seems to work out." From zero to hero, the story of Hailie Deegan gets only better. There were a couple of more races in the championship in which Deegan will have an opportunity to win a race. And just like she said, she hopes that she will never have to deal with the restart she did in the previous race in Eldora. Obviously, it ruined her race, and it ruined the opportunity for us to see her emerge victorious. But that does not mean we are not going to see her lift the most valuable trophy anytime soon, as the attention has slowly but surely started to shift from negative to positive. With this in mind, do you support Hailie Deegan and her latest race in Eldora? Do you think that she has a great opportunity and future in the Cup Series, or do you judge her by the Truck Series performance only? Let us know in the comments below, and watch the next video that pops up on your screen.